If you think February in Portugal was just about Carnival and rainy days, you've missed the events that literally shook the country and the political shifts that are about to redraw the map for anyone planning to live here. Most people look at Portugal and only see the sun and the safety, but what happened in February 2026 was a massive reality check. Between natural disasters and a major government shakeup, the rules of the game have changed. The confusion surrounding AIMA and how the new administration will handle immigrants is at its highest level in 5 years. This video is an intelligence report for those planning a real life here. We aren't talking about news for tourists. We're talking about facts that affect your visa, your safety, and your wallet in March and the months to follow. I've lived in Portugal for over 5 years. I've been through financial crises, government changes, and deep reforms in the immigration system. What I'm giving you today is an on-the-ground analysis from someone feeling the daily impact, not just reading translated official press releases. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what changed at AIMA in February, how the new political landscape impacts your residency application, and the 3 urgent red flags for March that could save your legalization process. And there is one specific detail regarding the IRS and automatic renewals that AIMA quietly announced at the end of February. If you missed the March deadline, your residency permit could fall into an irreversible legal limbo. I'll explain that in just a bit. Let's start with the shock that stopped the country in its tracks. On February 19, 2026, at 4:27 p.m., a 4.1 magnitude earthquake hit the Lisbon region. While it didn't cause major structural damage or casualties, it served as a brutal reminder. Portugal is in an active seismic zone. If you're thinking about buying or renting a home, this event changed the conversation. In February, we saw a spike in demand for multi-risk insurance that specifically covers seismic activity, and a premium being placed on modern buildings that meet updated anti-seismic codes. If you live in an old building in Alfama or Baixa, now is the time to review your emergency exits and your insurance policy. As if the earthquake wasn't enough, February was marked by the devastation of Storm Leonardo. Hot on the heels of Storm Kristen in January, Leonardo brought persistent rains that saturated the soil. The result? The Mondego River burst its banks. We saw the A1 motorway, the country's main artery, collapse near Coimbra. Over 3,000 people were evacuated, and entire farmlands were submerged. The impact for you. The cost of fresh produce started climbing at the end of February due to crop losses. Additionally, the real estate market in flood-prone areas is seeing a severe correction. Be very careful about choosing cheap houses near rivers in the center of the country right now. With so much happening at once, it's normal to feel overwhelmed. Where do you even start? The NIF? Insurance? The house? In our free relocation checklist, we've organized the steps logically so that natural disasters or political crises don't paralyze your plans. Get it now. The link is in the description. On the political front, February was a turning point. On February 8th, Antonio José Seguro was elected the new president of the Republic, defeating André Ventura in the second round. While the president doesn't write the laws, they hold the power to veto and to dissolve parliament. Seguro, a socialist, now has to coexist with Prime Minister Luis Montenegro's center-right government. However, don't expect a sudden softening of immigration rules. Montenegro's government, under pressure from the right, is moving ahead with what they call regulated immigration. But what this means for you in March 2026. Prior consular visas only. The government has reinforced that the era of arriving as a tourist and fixing it later is dead. 2-year residency for family reunification. This is a heavy change. Now, primary holders generally need 2 years of residency before bringing family over. Stricter integration. Integration now requires proof of language progress and active Social Security contributions. It's not enough to have a permit. You have to prove you are part of the system. It's not the end of the Portuguese dream, but it is the end of the easy mode. So your planning now has to be surgical. Let's crack open the black box that is AIMA. After months of deafening silence, February brought announcements that need to be read between the lines. First, the ARI Golden Visa Renewal Portal. On February 16th, the portal finally went live. But don't be fooled, this isn't just a digital convenience. It's a desperate attempt to clear the courts of the thousands of lawsuits foreign investors filed against the state. If you're another golden visa holder, in-person renewals are effectively dead. If your biometrics have expired, the system might stall your application. In February, we saw many lawyers complaining that the portal accepts fees but fails to issue the actual permit. My advice? Don't do this alone if there's even a slight discrepancy in your 2024 or 2025 data. The portal is automated. Any human error leads to a rejection that could take months to appeal. Second, the green lane for former students. Article 122, paragraph J. This was the most humane announcement of the month. Portugal realized it was training talent in its universities only to kick them out due to a lack of a transition mechanism into the workforce. Now, if you were a student and have a job offer or are already working, you no longer have to leave the country to apply for a new visa. You can convert your status directly on Portuguese soil. This is a huge win, but be warned. AIMA is requiring employment contracts to be at least 12 months long. Probationary 6-month contracts were being rejected throughout February. Third, the recovery plan and the 400,000 case backlog. AIMA confirmed in February that the backlog has hit 400,000 cases. To solve this, they announced the hiring of 300 new technicians and partnerships with bar and solicitor associations. What no one tells you is that to clear the queue fast, the screening process became much more technical and far less flexible. If a slightly blurry document passed before, today the system rejects it automatically. They are using AI to scan PDFs, and if the algorithm doesn't recognize the seal from your home country, your file goes to the bottom of the pile. In February, we saw a 20% increase in notice of intent to refuse letters, which is basically the last step before a final rejection. Getting a notice from AIMA nowadays is enough to give anyone heart palpitations. If you received an email asking for additional documents, or if your portal status changed and you don't understand the legalese, don't guess. The cost of a mistake in 2026 is the permanent archiving of your dream. Book a clarity call with us. I've seen thousands of these emails, and I know exactly what AIMA is looking for in every field. Let's validate your dossier together before you hit reply. Find the link in the description. Now, let's talk about March. March is the month many immigrants get blindsided by one detail: their tax residency start date. Many people arrived in 2025, but didn't get their NIF until February 2026. Now in March, you need to ensure your tax history matches what you told AIMA. If you told AIMA you've lived here since August, but you only show up at the tax office in February, you have a legality gap. In March, the tax office opens the period for claims. If you don't declare your worldwide income now, AIMA could refuse your permanent residency years down the line, claiming you weren't an effective resident. Data sharing in 2026 is total. The Portuguese fiscal big brother is more active than ever this March. Brace yourselves. In March, AIMA is launching a massive email campaign for everyone with a pending expression of interest or old applications. They're going to ask, are you still interested? The danger: if you don't click that confirmation link within 10 business days, your file will be considered abandoned. March will be the month of administrative purging. They want to cut that 400,000 backlog in half just by eliminating people who have already left Portugal or changed their email. If you changed your contact info and didn't update it in February, March might be the end of the line for you. March 2026 ends with Holy Week. The warning here is logistical. The SNS, National Health Service, goes into minimum services mode during the last week of the month. If you have important exams or appointments, try to pull them forward to the first 2 weeks of March. Also, expect strikes from CEPE, Comboios de Portugal, at the start of the month due to cost of living grievances. Plan your travel well in advance. At the start of the video, I mentioned a detail in March that could stall your residency. I'm talking about proof of means of subsistence. Under the new government, AIMA has started requiring self-employed workers, recibos verdes, to prove that their social security contributions are proportional to what they declare. If you're paying the bare minimum but living a luxury lifestyle, the auditors will come knocking. March is the month to reconcile your February contributions to avoid your automatic renewal being blocked. February was a month of warnings, from nature, from politics, and from bureaucracy. Portugal in 2026 is a stricter country, but it's also becoming more organized. If you do your part, your chances of success are huge. So, did you feel the earthquake in February? And how are your AIMA applications looking now with these new hires? Comment below. I want to know what it's like on your end. Don't forget to get your free checklist. It's your anchor in the middle of these constant shifts. And if the confusion is getting to you, a clarity call is the investment that saves you months of trial and error. If this recap has given you the clarity you needed, check out this video about various rental scams happening in Portugal right now so you don't end up becoming one of the several victims. Click now and I'll see you there. Ciao.